The eighth Sustainable Development Goal is decent work and economic growth. The aim of this goal is to promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all people. The Voluntary National Review states that Zambia aspires to an average annual real GDP growth rate above 5%, to create productive and gainful job opportunities, and to improve competitiveness. Some of the interventions and opportunities to accelerate progress under this goal are to promote industrialization and job creation, to facilitate micro, small, and medium enterprise development, to promote cooperatives development, to increase employment opportunities in rural areas, to improve labor productivity, and to promote entrepreneurship skills training and development. In the first place, let's take a closer look at annual growth rate of real GDP. During the period 2015 to 2019, the economy grew at an average rate of 3.3% per annum, which was less than the 7 NDP economic growth target of above 5%. This was attributed to several factors, both domestic and external, including droughts, high oil prices, and slow demand for commodities on the global market, particularly copper. As Africa's second largest copper producer, the country's GDP growth was severely impacted by falling copper prices. In addition to this, insufficient rain had a drastic impact on the country's ability to generate hydroelectric power, and this affected economic activity across the country. It is clear that Zambia remains vulnerable to both internal and external shocks, which slow down economic growth. In a world where macroeconomic shocks and crises are taking place more frequently, there is a need for the country to build resilience to withstand the effects that these issues have on economic growth. It is particularly important for the economy to diversify away from mining and agriculture, which have been vulnerable to external shocks, such as price fluctuations and droughts. As the economy diversifies, it will be better able to deal with external macroeconomic shocks. Additionally, the country needs to work at identifying the external shocks which are most common and developing policies that are designed to withstand and counteract these shocks, as well as to reduce exposure to these shocks and to reduce the frequency and severity of the shocks themselves. In the second place, let's take a look at full and productive employment. The Voluntary National Review states that the economy has not been able to generate the expected number of jobs. This is owing to a weakened economic performance. In 2018, by gender, unemployment for males was estimated at 12.1% and for females at 13.2%. In addition to increasing employment for the population, these estimates highlight the need to develop programs or to provide funding for employment which is targeted at specific groups such as females or youth. The government has already demonstrated an awareness of the unique unemployment challenges found in the country and put in place adequate measures for this to be addressed, such as the Constituency Development Fund. This is commendable. In the last place, let's take a look at child labor and labor rights. Child labor has been raised as a concern in the Voluntary National Review. Increases in child labor have been attributed to the continued decline economically of the country and social change. These two causes are said to have adversely affected the welfare of children. However, the Zambian government has responded to this and other labor rights issues in three crucial ways. Firstly, the government developed the 2019 to 2022 Zambia Decent Work Country Program, which is expected to achieve various outcomes. Secondly, the government adopted the Employment Code Act No. 3 of 2019, which provides safeguards against casualization and erosion of decent work conditions. It protects employees from discrimination on grounds of nationality, color, religion, and gender, amongst others. In the third place, the government has implemented the minimum wage policy, which has the objective of safeguarding the interests of workers, especially those that are vulnerable and do not have unions. Although this is a good development, government should be cautioned against raising the minimum wage randomly because it can force business owners to raise the prices of their goods and thereby cause inflation. This is an analysis of the Sustainable Development Goal number 8, designed for a decent work and economic growth.